Great. Good afternoon again. We're delighted to be joined here by Nicholas Koumjian, the head of the Independent Investigative Mechanism for Myanmar, who's here to brief you. So, Nicholas, welcome, and you have the floor, and then we'll take some questions.
Thank you very much, Steph. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm here because last year in December, the General Assembly passed a resolution calling for us to brief the third committee, which I'll be doing this afternoon. As we've seen this morning, the number of crises hitting the world, of course, never ceases, and it seems to always be increasing. And as one hits, unfortunately, attention goes away from other crises around the world. And it is important, we feel, to, of course, any response to these crises, particularly on issues as important as accountability for the most serious international crimes, are things that take a long time, that require a commitment of resources and a commitment of time. And it's important, therefore, to occasionally remind everyone that these efforts are ongoing, that they continue to need support. So I'll be presenting to the General Assembly today about our work, particularly over the last year at the Independent Investigative Mechanism for Myanmar. We were created by the Human Rights Council, and that was welcomed by the General Assembly, with the mandate to collect evidence of the most serious international crimes committed in Myanmar since 2011, and to prepare files that could facilitate criminal prosecutions. So our mandate covers the entire country. Certainly a big impetus for our creation was the crisis of the Rohingya and due to the clearance operations in 2017 carried out in Rakhine State. And we accordingly, of course, devote a lot of our resources to investigating those crimes. But we also have a mandate to collect evidence of the most serious crimes across the country. And there's a long history of crimes by military, in particular, against civilian populations in different parts of the country, particularly the border areas. And since February of 2021, when the elected government was overthrown, the number of crimes has unfortunately increased. And as I will explain to the General Assembly this afternoon, in particular, the amount of crimes, even over the past year, we've seen an increase in the crimes. They're increasingly brazen, but particularly we've seen many burnings of villages, aerial and other bombardments of civilian areas, and we've also seen the arrests and torture of opponents of the regime, and many instances of military forces taking over an area, capturing individuals, whether they be civilians or combatants at the time, but rendering them then hors de combat, and then executing individuals. So this is a major concern. We currently are collecting that evidence with the idea to eventually share it with a court. We're not a court that can charge and arrest people. But we are fortunate that there are currently 3 proceedings that we're already sharing evidence with. And that is with the International Criminal Court, which has an investigation ongoing about the events that led to the Rohingya forced deportation, to the courts in Argentina, where there's a complaint under universal jurisdiction by individuals from the UK and living in UK and Bangladesh at the moment, Rohingya. And the Argentine courts have ruled that because the allegations are crimes against humanity, and it affects all humanity, their courts have an obligation to investigate that. So we're assisting and sharing our evidence with the federal prosecutor in Buenos Aires to assist that process. And finally, there's the case at the International Court of Justice. Now, this is not a criminal case. I think you're hearing later today from the president of the court. It's a court, of course, that hears disputes between states, and in this case, it's an allegation by the Gambia that as a signatory to the Genocide Convention, it's complaining that Myanmar, also a signatory, has failed to fulfill its obligations to prevent and punish genocide. So we're assisting that court. We've offered to share evidence. And part of what we've done is, in addition to collecting evidence, is we analyze it and prepare files. And there are 3 current analytical products that we recently have completed and are in the process of sharing. And these are 3 reports, one on the command structure in Rakhine State in 2017, one on the notoriety of allegations of sexual violence, and we look at whether the Myanmar authorities, how they responded to those allegations. Did they fulfill their obligations under international law to investigate and punish any perpetrators? And finally, we did a very large-scale project where we looked at social media posts, in this case from Facebook. We looked at a particular group of accounts that Facebook had taken down because of allegations that they were engaging in coordinated inauthentic behavior, misrepresenting who they were, and when they actually were sending out military messages. And our report concludes that in these 43 accounts, that we did find many thousands of instances of what we defined as hate speech, and that the accounts can be tied to the Myanmar military. So thanks. And
Thank you. Evelyn?
Thank you very, very much for interesting but also shocking account on Myanmar, because we seem to go round in a circle. Everyone says it's bad, and there are limits to what the world can or seems to be. Have you, first of all, my first question, my name is Evelyn Leopold, and I thank you on behalf of the UN Correspondents Association. My first question is, have you been there?
No.
And the second, no, go ahead.
No, well, we've made many requests to go to the country, and the authorities, both the pre-coup authorities and the post-coup de facto authorities, have denied our requests.
Right, have you worked with ASEAN at all?
Your microphone, Evelyn, please.
Oh, sorry. Have you worked with ASEAN, and has anybody tried to stop, particularly ASEAN, the delivery of weapons to the junta that you're investigating?
Well, we've spoken to many of the members of ASEAN, and we continue to engage with them. And one of the points I always raise with them, of course, ASEAN, I think, and I think most people think, matters. It's pretty clear that the current authorities care about the ASEAN position. They have some interest in what ASEAN is doing. And ASEAN's 5-point consensus that the Myanmar authorities agreed to at the time says that the very first point is an end to the violence. So we think that our work complements what we see as ASEAN's 5-point program, end the violence. If you want to end the violence, you certainly would support efforts to collect evidence of the very worst violence, which is all we do. We're just collecting evidence of those that could qualify as serious international crimes. And I have to say that that's the talking point, and we've had mixed results. I mean, it is a problem for us to get cooperation in different parts of the ASEAN in the region. We do get a lot of cooperation from Bangladesh, and I can thank them for their cooperation, allowing us to investigate on their territory, speak to people on their territory. But ASEAN, I think, is very, very important, and I think our work complements ASEAN, and we're engaging with them, and we'll continue to engage with them.
And where can we find the reports? Where can we find the reports you just mentioned? Your reports.
I'm sorry, which reports did I just mention?
Referring to?
Oh,
Yeah.
I see. Well, the report was previously published. It was the same report that I present to the Human Rights Council. I'll do the oral presentation this afternoon. Sorry, thank you.
Okay. Errol?
Arul Lewis from Indo-Asian News Service. Are you also investigating alleged crimes by non-state actors? For example, the Amnesty International documented the massacre of 99 Hindus in August 1917. Do you have anything to report on that? Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Absolutely. Our mandate is to investigate crimes regardless of the ethnicity, religion, citizenship of the victims or the perpetrators. So we definitely are looking at non-state actors, and the incident that you're talking about, we're very well aware of. I'm not going to go into, because I don't list every incident we're working on for a variety of reasons. But I would say absolutely we are looking at actions by non-state actors. That particular incident you talk about was very serious and absolutely deserving of attention. There are many other reports more recently also about assassinations or killings of people who are suspected to be informants for the military authorities. We're very concerned with that. And we're looking at that. There's issues about whether those qualify as serious international crimes, but we'll continue to look at those. But the incident you're talking about, a massacre of close to 100 people, is obviously very serious and could qualify as an international crime.
Ephraim, Arab News.
Thank you so much. I have two questions. Can you speak a little bit about the difficulty of collecting evidence when the military has such a grip on the whole country? One. Second, are you also investigating the role of the government of Aung San Suu Kyi's responsibility in the deaths of the thousands of Rohingyas? I know her defenders say she was constrained by the military's grip on all levers of power in the country, but are you investigating her personal responsibility? Thank you.
Thank you. It's extremely difficult to investigate. First of all, war crimes cases are always difficult, particularly when our mandate is to concentrate on the most serious cases, which I think everyone understands. It's common in the field that the more serious cases mean that you look at those at higher levels of responsibility, not just the direct perpetrators who were on the ground. So that, of course, is what we do, and we're continuing to gather evidence of that. I'm not giving any lists of suspects or people under suspicion now. It's far too early for us to be doing that. Investigations are ongoing. But when we can't go to the country, what that means is we can't go to the crime scenes and we can't get access to most of the witnesses. We do have some contact with people inside the country through secure communication means, but it's limited, and it limits our ability to take face-to-face interviews, which are, I think, key to building criminal cases. We are able to do that in other parts of the world, and we have done that and interviewed many individuals. And these are very detailed interviews that we think would hold up and be very beneficial and hold up in criminal proceedings.
Thank you. Stefano Vaccaro.
Thank you. Stefano Vaccaro, Voce di New York. Now, is a kind of a follow-up because you already partially answered. My question was on the difficulty to investigate where you cannot have access in the country. I mean, so can you explain it maybe with some details, for example,
Sure.
how the investigation proceed outside of the country?
Yeah, it's complicated, and I'll do the best I can, and also recognizing, of course, some of the details of how we operate we need to keep confidential. But it's complicated, as I just said, because we can't speak face-to-face, we can't see the crime scenes. But there are some ways we try to compensate by using more innovative means of investigation and new technologies. So, for example, we have aerial photographs of villages before they were burned and after they were burned to look at what happened. For bombardments, we can sometimes see what has happened on the ground and maybe from that type of destruction get some idea of the type of weapons that were used. We also, there are people inside the country that send us information, including photographs of crime scenes and munitions that were used. Obviously, that's not ideal, because then we ourselves, you have to trust someone else of what they're saying about where the photograph was taken, when it was taken, et cetera. We also depend, because we can't go to Myanmar, we often try to interview witnesses where they can go. And this requires the cooperation of states. And this is a continuing challenge for us, to seek the cooperation of states to cooperate with us and let us investigate, talk to people on their territory. As I've said, we've done this in quite a number of countries, but we continue to seek more cooperation from particularly states in the region where many of the witnesses, potential witnesses, are located, so we can carry out our investigations on their territory. And we try to be innovative in using things like social media to investigate, looking at posts to see not just whether people were engaging in hate speech, but sometimes people reveal where they were at a particular time. There's photographs or even posts, even videos that show particular units at a particular location or a particular time.
Thank you. Franco Ciardo, and then we'll close it.
Yeah, hi, Prekis, the Art of Conspiracy World. Thanks for doing this and coming back to see
Can
us
you put your
again.
microphone a little closer?
This a little bit better?
Yeah, thank you.
From your perspective, it's your perspective on, as an investigator and somebody that looks into war crimes, do you think the Human Rights Council should establish a mandate for someone like you to look into what's going on in Gaza right now?
You know, this is outside my mandate, and I concentrate on the issues that the Human Rights Council has given me. I'm always happy to talk about the challenges that we face and what I see as the benefits of fair and objective investigations that can preserve evidence so that it could be used someday in fair criminal proceedings.
Great. Thank you very much, Nicholas. We'll leave you in Monica's hand on behalf of the PGA. Thank you.